Hey everybody, Taz from Critical Thinking Anarchist here. So, it's been a bit since I've made a video, and I want to make another one, but of course I wasn't entirely sure what to do it on. I've seen quite a few different things and caught up with the news and caught up with the other people I'm following, and as you can see, there really isn't much out there for me to cover, and there really isn't much for me to pay attention to that other people haven't done better. But one of the ones, or a couple of the ones that I've seen were Geeks and Gamers and Jeremy doing being good at video games is offensive, and also HBO Max puts social justice warrior warning on Blazing Saddles. So I kind of want to actually talk about this. I used to be heavy into gaming. As a kid, I was one of the first ones that constantly stayed up all night playing Nintendo and went to bed and woke up early, and I left my Nintendo on so I could start exactly where I left it from the night before. Unfortunately, I am not a good video game learner. I'm fairly decent with education. For whatever reason, learning from video games, not the best, which isn't to say I'm not a bad gamer and that I don't learn anything. But it's just strategy in video games kind of eludes me. I'm the guy that wants to, in like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, I just want to attack. I don't want a defense. I don't want to block. Blocking is boring. I just want to attack. So when, I would sit back and watch my cousins and my friends be better at video games than I am. And I have no problem with that. Oddly enough, I never really got into Twitch. Every once in a while I watch Twitch and I watch, some of my YouTube, people I follow on YouTube. But for the most part, it just isn't quite the same. I like being there in person, or I like watching shorter videos. And even several years ago, I got into Hearthstone, and I got one of my friends into Hearthstone. He's been my friend for a long time and was my roommate at the time. And he became fairly good at it. He's made Legend a few times. I've never made Legend. I think the closest I got was rank 7. Somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure I've never gotten above 5. I've gotten above 10 2 or 3 times, but again, I'm not good at strategy. It's sad, playing strategy games and not being good at strategy. Oddly enough, one of my favorite games one of my favorite series is the Command and Conquer series. I prefer cheating. I prefer playing multiplayer. My home multiplayer, and same with Warcraft. And setting up scenarios where I can beat the ever-living piss out of my opponent. In Warcraft 2, I would, create my own map and set it up so there's a river, and there's a ton of trees, and, just this massive trees, and I have all the gold, and my opponent has 1 gold mine, and I can build up everything to beat all, and they, eventually after 2 or 3 hours, I annihilate them. But of course, when, especially, I believe StarCraft was the first one that really became super competitive. And especially more in StarCraft 2, where you couldn't really do that with people anymore. It became a tournament, where people would, you're sitting there and, the term Zerg became a thing where you would build up a bunch of small minions and just attack right away, because that's kind of what the computer was doing in Warcraft 2. I don't know if they did it in Warcraft, but they did it in Warcraft 2. They kind of did it in Command and Conquer series, especially later on in the Command and Conquer Red Alert series. But that became a thing, and so of course smart players understood that, and they adapted their play style to do that. And with hotkeys and macros, it became much easier to do that. I'm someone who never got into macros. I never got into hotkeys. It took me forever to get, WASD. I was one of those people that used the arrow keys and shoved the keyboard all the way over to the left, and use the arrow keys with my left hand and use the mouse with my right. Now I use the mouse with my right and the WASD with my left, obviously. But I don't get, they have people who are pissed off that people take these games seriously. People are always going to take something seriously. And they're going to be good at it because it's what they do, what they want to do. Some of them do it just for the challenge of being really good. Others, are going to be doing it because they're professionals. I mean, you're going to have professional YouTube and Twitch streamers who are just going to take the challenge. Again, they're going to take the challenge, but they're going to be good at it. And they're going to stream, and they're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of people watch them just annihilate a game because it's what they do. But to get upset at that is weird. And, that's kind of the world we live in today, is we're upset at other people for things they do in their own lives. It's like, you don't like the fact that someone else is good at something, don't pay attention to them being good at something. Well, it ruins the gaming industry. Why? He's not he or she isn't affecting you. They're not doing anything to you. They're playing their own game. Well, they're streaming it. Then don't watch their stream. What is it taking away from your stream? Is that what you're worried about? You do you. You've got your own thing. If gaming is not good for you, then do something else in your streams or whatever. I've got 10 people who watch me on watch my videos on YouTube. I've slowly grown that. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm not saying I'm great at it. I don't know how to get an audience, but hey, for the few of you that have joined and come into me over the last several months and followed me on Twitter and Geeks and Gamers and all that, thank you. I'm not going to be great. I wish maybe at some point I will learn. This is like a strategy game. Maybe I'll learn. Maybe I'll get there. Who knows? And if I do, it'll started with you 10 people. And again, thank you. Thank you for being here from day 1 or day 30 or 60 or whatever it ends up being. But yeah, I just don't get, and this is, again, like I said, it's a social thing right now where we are all worried about what other people do in their private lives. It was the argument against gay marriage and homosexual relationships. Well, I don't like what they're doing in their bedroom. Well, as long as, I get that public displays of affection between same-sex or trans-sex or whatever makes traditional people feel uncomfortable, and maybe they don't want to see it at all. Or maybe they just, but I don't get how what people do in their own lives, as long as it's consensual, as long as they go into knowing what they're doing and are able to go into that with a clear mindset, who cares? What someone's religion is, who cares? What someone's eating habits are, who cares? Just don't force it upon me. Don't force your religion upon me. Don't force your eating style upon me. And by that, I mean, the whole vegetarianism and, whatever else out there. And don't force freaking workout or diet routines on me, I'm going to do my life, you do your life. The only time you should ever be concerned about someone else's lives are when it causes harm to another person, or when it's family, when it's directly responsible, when you're directly responsible for those people, when it's your husband or wife or children or parents. Yes, be concerned about that. Do something about that. So the next part is, and again, Geeks and Gamers already covered this, HBO Max puts SJW warning on Blazing Saddles. In a world where HBO Max puts warning labels on Blazing Saddles. In a world where we're sitting here trying to, figure out how to get beyond racial boundaries again. Of all the movies that could have a trigger warning, Blazing Saddles, or pretty much any Mel Brooks movie, should never have one. Mel Brooks was one of the people who put people of color and women in prominent roles constantly. He did it for 4 decades, and never made a big deal about it. Within the movie, he would make a big deal. Within the movie Blazing Saddles, he makes a big deal out of it. But he didn't sit there and go to the world and go, look at me, I put a black sheriff in charge of this movie. A prominent black actor in the lead role. Look at that. Look at what I've done. No, he did it because he wanted he wanted to have fun. He wanted to make fun of how stupid people were being during that time. Same thing with History of the World Part 1. He had Gregory Hines all over that, and Gregory Hines was fantastic. He played off the stereotypes. He played off the Jewish stereotypes as well. And of course Mel Brooks is Jewish, so it's one of those things where it's when you are one, you can go ahead and go to those places that when you aren't one, you're not supposed to go to those places. But Mel Brooks figured there was no boundaries, and so he cast people because he figured it was going to be a good cast, not because he wanted to trigger people. He wanted to make fun of people, definitely. He wanted to make fun of stupidity, absolutely. But he wasn't sitting there going like, this will really piss people off. If I put a black man as the lead role of this movie, that will really piss people off. No, he did it because he's like, people are getting pissed off at this, and this is stupid. People are mad at this type of thing. And now we find ourselves in this place where, if the source material says the person was black, you got to put a black person in there. If the source material says the person was Asian, you got to put an Asian person in there. If the source material says the person was alphabet community, LGBTQ+, you got to put that person in that role. And it's gotten rid of the acting aspect of acting. I've even watched it in... I'm signed up with a couple different talent agencies because I'm looking to try and break into the business of some sort. And this might be something they've done for decades, as far as I know. I don't know. But it's become more clear that that's kind of the way it is. They want people who are patients of certain things. They want people who've been in this line of work. They want people who are these things. Now, granted, these are for advertisements, they're for commercials, and part of what they're doing is testimonials. So they want people who have been in those situations, which makes sense. But it also means that you're negating the acting acting aspect of this all. And again, really, I just want to do this video because I had something to say. There's a lot of things that I'd like to record, and it's going to take some research and some editing and all that other fun stuff to put together properly. So I kind of want to just get something out there. And between Blazing Saddles and video games, I'm like, well, those are two things right up my wheelhouse. But again, Mel Brooks, if ever there was a need for Mel Brooks movies, it's right now. To tell people, hey, you guys are acting like idiots. Come together. Enjoy the fact that we are different. Yes, we're different. That's a fact. We're different. We're human. Biologically, we're basically the same, but personality-wise, character-wise, we're going to be different. But how we should be judged, again, not by the color of our skin, but by the character, by who we are as people, not who we are as trees or dogs. However, if you want to be a dog, well, whatever, that's your own thing. I suppose if you can identify as, you know, as anything else, why can't you identify as a dog or a tree or a blue whale? I identify as a blue whale. Not yet. I haven't eaten that much yet. But anyway, I just had to put something out there again and, you know, point out, people, we gotta stop being ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. You know, if you can, give me a like and a subscribe and maybe a couple of comments saying, what are your thoughts on all this? All right, you know, I got nothing else. You guys take care, and I will talk to you later.